Good evening, everybody. Well, of course, it's the night that launches the testimonial year for this great Queenslander, Trevor Gillmeister. One of their favourite sons. He started in first grade rugby league in the big league in 1986 at Eastern Suburbs in Sydney. And he has since represented Australia and, of course, Queensland 21 times at origin level. And certainly one of the great Queenslanders of all time. He plays pounds above his weight. This is a night for Trevor Gillmeister, really, and they are laying it on. They're giving the crowd a tremendous night of entertainment. Gillmeister's out there and now joined by his teammates. Peacock, Weston, Hudson, Gaffey, makeshift centres, Plowman, Norton, Pizzette, Hearn, Teven, Young, Horsnell and Prothero. Bob Linder is the coach and Trevor Gillmeister is the captain. Fireworks, the balloons, and everything else that's necessary to start a year for a great man. And here is a great rugby league side, the Brisbane Broncos. We saw them against Western Suburbs and then against Illawarra. They beat the Crushers last year easily in front of a whopping crowd at ANZ. Khan, Hancock, Renoff, Smith, Saylor, Walters, Langer, Lazarus, Kerrod Walters, G, Thorne, Can, Ryan, Wayne Bennett the coach, and a man that's close to them is Gary Belcher.
Yes, Ray, dead calm down here on the field, and I've just spoken to Barry Muir, the former Queensland coach. He tells me it's dead quiet in the Crushers dressing room. He says it's a good sign. He reckons they're ready to play, and they're going to need to be against a rampaging Broncos outfit. They also want to prove to the Queensland public that they can match it with the big boys. Should be a big one, Ray. No problems in the Broncos dressing room.
And nor there should be, because everything is going nicely for them.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem.
Gary Belcher on the sidelines tonight. We'll be crossing down to him with his sideline reports at frequent intervals. David Manson is in charge of the match in front of his home crowd, and what a crowd it is. This will be the biggest crowd the Crushers have hosted. They made 29,000 last year. They'll go past that tonight. So the local derby to top them all is underway. And the player that's playing so brilliantly, Lazarus, gets the first pass and the first action. Andrew G, his partner in crime, follows him. Out beyond the 20-metre line comes Alan Can. 27 metres out from their own line. Kerrod Walters with the head freshly shaven. Now played back for Alfie Langer to give it away, and Thorne takes it ahead. Good yards. They're building a good set of 6 on their first of the night. Langer goes for the boot. Bouncing it down to the 10-metre line for Danny Peacock to come away and run into a crunching tackle from Renoff. And so now this is Plowman. In fact, Weston. Now, this man that we saw dishing out some big hits against Parramatta, Grant Young. Teven's in the 9, the 11 is Gilly. Trevor takes his first tackle. They let him know they're around too. Darren Smith. Now, Brett Horsnell. Paul Vaughton is salivating here. Just down by Langer. Peacock cleans it up. Langer cleans him up. Good stuff by Langer. Yeah, Kevy, Gilly, they're all here. Look at him, he can't even talk.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. There's been plenty of impressive things about the Broncos in their 2 matches to date. Probably nothing more impressive than the physical nature of their play. This time Glenn Lazarus will be penalised for a high tackle on Tony Hearn. But they're really looking to impose themselves on their opposition. And that first set of 6 they brought out, it was great stuff.
There's no love lost between those two. Let me tell you, there's been a few things said in the press the last couple of days. This will be a big battle, Hearn up against Lazarus.
Pezzett, the number 7. Now, on the end of their first penalty, the tap has been taken, and Tony Hearn. 15 metres into opposition territory. 30 metres out for Young. Teven. Pezzett. Gilmeister. Ooh, it was close to forward, but Langer met him. I think they both came up smiling, Gilmeister and Langer. Pezzett again. Pezzett! Followed through by Teven! He's over! Can he get it down? Hilda! That is great defence!
Oh, well, we saw Pezzett a couple of weeks ago do exactly the same thing against Parramatta. On this occasion, though, no try results, but the big right foot step, and Teven came from nowhere to back up. And the defence is there. Kevin Walters and Hancock, they hold him up.
Yeah, that's great football from both teams, isn't it? Incisive play from the Crushers, and then magnificent defence from Kevin Walters. Kept his head in a dangerous situation, rolled the player on his back. The Crushers now keeping the pressure going through the scrum win.
This is young Travis Norton, 20 years of age today.
Oh,
heavy stuff. Prothero felt it. 10 metres out. Young again. There he goes. 3 of them put him away. Teven. Long ball. Pezzett going wide and deep. Norton in and away, but grabbed. Langer's defence is superb. Husnell. 10 metres out from the line. 5 gone. Pezzett goes the blind side. Rolls it in. Hancock was waiting. And away goes Hancock, bumping them off, losing the ball. Khan is with it.
Yeah, probably not the best option for Pezzett. He had a big line to the left, around the open, and they went the blind, and Hancock, what a player he is. He knocked 14 of them out of the way.
And he dropped it.
G again. Lazarus. 33 metres out from their own line. Kerrod Walters. Darren Smith. Hudson made the tackle in combination with Plowman. Now Langer. Cuts out Sailor. Across for Can. And Can is pulled down by Horsnell and by Prothero. Langer's kick. Taken on the run from out of the deep by Peacock. Look at Peacock's run. Teven. Inside ball. Hudson. Hudson! What a start. Teven again. Horsnell stands and unloads, and cleaned up by South Queensland. Weston. Young to the 20, inside it. No score, 5 3/4 gone. Pezzett cross to his 5/8. Now out to the centres. It's Nigel Gaffey. He lost ground with the football. Pezzett puts a kick in. Khan taken by the kicker.
Again, the kick was not a good one on the last tackle. Really didn't put any pressure on Willie Khan as Wendell Sailor takes the ball over his 20-metre line on the second tackle. It's been a good positive start from both teams. Good defence. Steve Renoff now getting involved from the dummy half position. The Crushers have thrown everything at the Brisbane team. They've cracked open on a couple of occasions. They still haven't had their line crossed, or they've had it crossed, but no points registered.
Another charge by Lazarus. Kerrod Walters, they got numbers. Darren Smith down the right flank. Behind Kerrod, picked up by Willie Kahn. 30 metres out now. They get a smell of Crushers territory. Langer, bullet-like pass. Saylor, flick pass. Ryan, pounced on by Peasant. Picked up by the Crushers. I think that's Gilmeister.
There's a touch he's come on.
I just wonder whether this will be something that Darren Plowman came up with on Willie Kahn. Willie Kahn really resented something that happened in the tackle on the far side of the field. And I think it was his opposing wingman, Darren Plowman, who was the recipient of his wrath. This is the tackle here. From over the top, you see Willie Kahn gets up. He was angry anyway.
Yeah, you've got to watch out for that wrath.
I tell you what, he'll nearly win a race at Sandown tomorrow. Now they take the kick. You can't make a mistake here.
Yeah, thanks, fellas.
I'm with you, mate. Now they take the kick. This time, now the Crushers, they've been dealing it out in attack. Time to defend. G plays it. Kerrod Walters spins it along the line. Alan Cann. Back it goes. Oh, that is hand.
Oh, beautiful stuff there from Willie Kahn.
20-metre line underneath them. Kevin Walters. Crouching low and then spinning under a tackle. His brother. Now Cann. Good defence by Prothero. 11 metres out. Langer. Well done, Willie Kahn. Another exhibition of great hands. Darren Smith. Langer kicks it. Waits it beautifully. Peacock. Peacock did well. Good work, Danny Peacock.
Yeah, he's on his game, the Crushers fullback, Danny Peacock. He's a match winner on his night. Hopefully South Queensland be looking for him to lead the way from the back, and he's doing a great job. The one thing about playing great players, as the Crushers are tonight, is you can't expect the opposition to really be off their game. What you've got to do is to take time away from them. You've got to bustle players, and that's what they're coming up with against the likes of Langer, Kevin Walters.
Great start. They didn't go through the lower gears, Gary. They started in top and they're still there. Yeah, they were going 100 miles an hour. A report on Alan Cann. He's hobbled back into the defensive line and struggling along. I'd expect him to be replaced pretty soon. Wendell Saylor trying to brush them away. Langer, Kevin Walters. Quick play, the balls enabled them to make 10 metres. Hancock, Renoff. Kevin Walters. Oh!
Thank you.
Thank you. Grant Young. Cann. In trouble is Alan Cann. The report from the sideline. Kerrod Walters pass. No man's land. Thorne. This is young Brad Thorne. Langer keeps it low and pushes it over towards that corner. In touch, in goal. 20-metre tackle, restart us. No score, 10 and a half gone. We find the Crushers now. And Cann getting some treatment to a bloodied mouth area. That is Tony Hearn. Teven, Young, over the 30, 16 is on, and that is Brett Green.
It's a very important set of 6 in defence for the Crushers. After exerting all the early pressure and not scoring points, it was extremely important that they kept their line intact with Brisbane's first effort down in that part of the field. Peasant getting a kick down to Saylor's wing. Wasn't well placed again, and the big winger brings it back. Some fancy stepping boots too. He's tackled 41 out from his own line, centre field.
There didn't seem to be a great deal of understanding or organisation in that passage of play for South Queensland. Ryan Young snaps him off from around the legs, and Gilmeister the top. Kerrod Walters, Alan Langer, and Norton is equal to the task. Kevin Walters goes from dummy half. A run of 15 metres takes him to the 20-metre line, and a penalty goes to Brisbane Broncos.
Well, it's for offside. I was wondering when he was going to give a penalty. They take the quick tap.
10 metres out now from the Crushers line. Kerrod Walters goes the blind. Darren Smith gives him back the football. Then Saylor comes back in, links up with Willie Kahn, and he's tackled by Horsnell. Played back for Saylor, along the line for Langer. Langer's pass comes off the shoulder of Peter Ryan. Danny Peacock comes away, and again they withstand them.
Oh, well, there's no place to hide or no place to rest out there. It's a good game looming, and his 10 metres, he's got to watch the 10 metres, David Manson. They're creeping into about 7 or 8 at this stage.
Just beyond the 20-metre line. Nigel Gaffey had a very good game against Parramatta, playing at the back of the scrum. 15 is on for them. That's Clinton O'Brien. Young has gone off. He gave his coach a couple of hit-ups and a couple of big tackles. Now he's back on the bench, the interchange bench, as Willie Kahn goes back just outside his 10-metre line, and Troy Pezzett brings him down. Kevin Walters has found himself a dummy half. Often tonight, such is the speed of the game.
A few of the Broncos players taking plenty of time to get back into position. The best indication I've always thought is Steve Renouf comes up with a mistake, a knock on.
Big tackle by Prothero. No score, and 14 gone, almost. So at Suncorp Stadium, in front of a massive crowd, we are watching the local derby, and the Crushers are trying so hard. A night that has been set aside to launch the testimonial of Trevor Gilmeister, and at the moment they're standing tall as it goes along the line for Nigel Gaffey. Gaffey put down 18 metres out from the Broncos line. Some of the Broncos are finding themselves hard-pressed to get back in the 10-metre line. But the speed of this game has been electric. Pezzett waits for a second-man play, and Peacock is met by Langer and forced down. So on the last, what will they do? To the air goes Pezzett. It's a great bomb. Down it comes favourably. Then they roll it, or tried to get it into the end goal.
Yeah, it was quick thinking by Travis Norton to put the second kick in. Some good scrambling defence from the Broncos players. Interesting to see who will be called out here. It looks as though Pezzett, a halfback for the Crushers, will be spoken to. I think you'll find that when he put the kick up, he really didn't try and contest where the bomb was coming down. He basically jumped or ran straight into the player. There he comes there. Elbow raised on Willie Kahn, and that's a pretty good decision.
And that's silly play from Pezzett. There's a chance that they might have got the ball back, and he's crewed that.
3 penalties to 1 in favour of the Broncos. As Willie Kahn finds the line from the centre of the ground, he wasn't looking for much distance. Lazarus hammers it out 25 metres from his own line. Let's go to the sidelines. Gary Belcher.
I think Bob Linder's feeling the pressure as much as anybody else. I've seen him on the sideline talking to his trainers and his players 4 or 5 times already. I'm pretty sure the suggestions, and it was said before the game, they have to control it around the ruck area. And the way their markers are working, they're doing a good job.
2 metres now on the Broncos side of halfway. Played by Peter Ryan. Langer pushes it on. Khan likewise. Kevin Walters for Darren Smith. Smith goes between the centres. It came off the Crushers, I think.
Yeah, it could be right there, Rabs. This will be no luck for the Crushers. And they're defending so well. They're playing with a bit of sting, a bit of oomph in their defence. And let's look at this as Smith gets a half a break. Gaffey's got him covered. Offloads. And that was the original knock-on from Saylor there. So this is a turnover. Good decision.
Yeah, that's the one thing you've got to avoid at all costs against Brisbane, is giving them a couple of sets of 6 in a row. You've got to try and make sure that possession they get, they only have 1 set of 6, and then you get the football. Too much football against you, they'll score points.
Clinton O'Brien. Did he rise and play the ball?
That's just a shocking play of the ball. And in front of this big crowd, the penalty just had to be given.
Yeah, I always must admit I find a lot of grey in the ruling and the way it's distributed. The player is expected to get up and play the ball immediately, but so is the tackler expected to roll away. And there's a perfect close-up example of the dilemma facing the referee. Kieran Walters now at dummy half on the 20-metre line. Crushes into the ground. And a strong run taken ahead by Thorne. Now they're 10 metres out. Something's got to give here. Langer, Lazarus, 7 metres out from the line. Langer's assembling them on the right. It goes out wider. Khan is there. He puts a hand in the face of Norton. Darren Smith is a dummy half. It comes across for Langer, then for Kevin Walters, then for Wendell Saylor. Saylor steps away from a tackle, then is taken jointly by brother Owen Hudson. 5 gone. Kevin Walters a dummy half to the right for Langer to go back and across with the bomb perfectly placed, and Peacock makes a mistake. The Broncos get a touchdown. Michael Hancock has put the hand on the football, and it's no try.
Gee, be keen to have a look at this one. Danny Peacock, a simple drop ball on the bomb. And Michael Hancock reacted very quickly. Let's have a look who gets the hand down first. Oh, looks like a try to me.
There's hands all over the place. I reckon Peacock, watch this hand. That one there, I reckon Peacock's got it down first.
Well, if he did, the ruling is correct. But
well, it's hard to tell from even those pictures, but you've got to give the in-goal judge, who was right there, only a metre away. I think he might have called that one right. But here goes Hancock.
30 metres out from the Crushers line. There's now Kieran Walters, looks for Lazarus, and the big man tramples over the top of Clinton O'Brien. Inside pass, and Ryan has his legs taken by Tony Hearn. Tremendous tackle. Kieran Walters, a hand up for Kevin. Then it's gone away for Renouf. Renouf for Hancock, and Hancock is put away. A metre from the sideline, a metre from the try line.
He should have been there earlier, Michael Hancock. Steve Renouf was going to put him in for a try, but the winger didn't react quickly enough.
Kieran Walters again. To the right they go. Through Langer. On to Kevin. He puts it high. And again, they're there and equal to it. Plowman will bring it back, or the Crushers do, to the 20-metre line.
Oh, aren't they defending well? What's that done, though? They've used up a lot of juice, the Crushers. It's at the 20-minute mark now. There's a few walkers out there for them.
That's the thing, isn't it, Fatty, with the unlimited interchange? I'm sure that Bob Linden now will be looking just to get plenty of players out there. And there's another mistake. And you know that you're going to be penalised at some stage by the Broncos if you make mistakes in your own danger area. It's Clinton O'Brien. In fact, it's Plowman, a dummy half, just looking at his first receiver too quickly, took his eyes off the football and knocked on. I think that they've got a crack shortly. Oh.
Jones is on.
What about this?
Broncos knock on.
An awful pass from Alan Langer. Well out in front of Kevin Walters. He looked as though he'd come up with a slips catch. Must have been a little knock on in there. There it is.
So a favour handed back to the Crushers. As Gaffey tries to combine with Plowman. 10 metres on their own side of halfway. Jones, former Manly player and runner-up in a Rothmans medal a few years ago. Pezzett, now they're standing still and passing. A bit of the pepper has gone from them. Played by Norton. Gilmeister to the halfway line.
The important thing for them about Ray is that they've weathered the early storm. In fact, they were great in the first 5 minutes. In the last 10, they've had plenty to do. The best chance for the Crushers in this match was to keep the opposition at bay early on, and they've done that for the first quarter of this match.
There's a problem with Renouf, is there, Gary?
Yeah, he took a bit of a knock a few minutes ago. Chris Johns is on the sideline warming up. Interestingly, after 22 and a half minutes, it's going to be the first interchange for the Broncos when Johnsy goes on.
Renouf back on their own 20-metre line, and Chris Johns goes on in the centres. But Renouf is still there.
Alan Cancel at the field.
Langer's made a break, gets it away. Then from Kevin Walters, the pass looked forward for mine.
Oh, well, that's unlucky for the Broncos. A beautiful break made by Langer. Some tired Crushers defence out there. Walters is back on the inside. Now watch Chris Johns come looming up the inside. It would have been his first touch, but he didn't look inside, looked outside, and I think the ball ended up going forward.
The scrum 40 metres away from the Crushers line. Still no score as Gaffey is put away about 7 metres on his own side of the halfway. Jones taken by Andrew G, and then the shoulder of Lazarus, and a penalty against the Broncos inside the 10. It's an area of David Manson's game that he has to concentrate on, particularly in a match like this. I've been watching particularly the Broncos creeping up inside the 10 out wide. It gives them the opportunity to umbrella in. Gilmeister now. Wouldn't he dearly love to lead this Crushers side to victory tonight? Pezzett held it back. Norton tackled with no gain in ground. Teven on. 14 is Philip Lee. Back to the right. Pezzett again. Then for Norton. Across for Hudson. Hudson is 18 metres out from the line. Prothero. Oh, Pezzett knocks on so simply. Now it's a penalty. You'll find that it came off the feet of another of the Crushers who was offside.
Well, Mark Prothero really put a lot of pressure on Troy Pezzett here. It's the last tackle, and right at the death he decides, well, I'm not going to kick the football, I'll pass it to somebody else. By that time, Troy Pezzett had the defence in his face.
Andrew G. 14 and a half minutes of the first half remain. That is Chris Johns. That left arm heavily bandaged. Thorne now. And Ryan. And a good tackle by Prothero. He's pulled off some beauties tonight. Langer. Johns is with him. He got rid of Gilmeister and then tried to struggle free from the next tackle. Kevin Walters away from a clutching tackle. Ball taken in by Philip Lee. They're back on their own 20-metre line. Weston. Teven. Gaffey. O'Brien. Plenty of former Eastern Suburbs players there in the Crusher side. And they've lost it. Norton, the birthday boy, puts it down.
That's his first mistake in this match. He's been extremely impressive in the pivot role for his side. Another penalty given for a play the ball infringement. No doubt again the Broncos will kick for touch here. Getting into that danger area now, 13 minutes left on the clock. That's a great kick. It's had to be taken 8 metres out. This is a test for the Crushers late in the first half.
6 penalties to 2 in favour of the Broncos. Andrew G, as they set it up. Now Thorne, 2 metres out. Langer along the line. Kevin Walters for Khan. Khan put away close to the line. Kevin Walters again. On the bounce for Langer. That might have taken the sting out of the attack. Langer's able to get it away. Kevin Walters throws the dummy. Goes into vacant pasture. Gets it back. And Khan, Willie Khan, he gets the first points of the game.
Oh, it had to come, didn't it? The masters they are at those short passing games. They just keep coming in waves. And look, it all breaks down here. A bad pass to Langer. And out of this, they create a try. It's typical Broncos football. Walters throws a dummy. The Crushers' defence has dropped off. You can't do that. And then Khan backing up.
Yes, Philip Lee, the number 14, overread the situation for his side. He stopped twice, didn't come up on the other side of the ruck. He thought the play had broken down. And all of a sudden, there was a hole presented for Karen Walters and for the try scorer, Willie Khan. You just can't drop off these Brisbane players, as Paul points out. They love keeping the ball alive, the little offloads, the dummy here and there, and eventually something is going to give. If one player overreads or gets lazy, it's going to cost you points.
Well, it remains to be seen what effect that will have on the Crushers. They've been gallant, rank outsiders for this match.
They've played some pretty good football tonight, Rabs. You know, just a couple of mistakes in the last few minutes have cost them. You know, the drop ball from Norton has ended up costing them 4, possibly 6 points.
Penalty count 6-2 against them. That hasn't helped, but it's all been part probably of the plan to try and slow the Broncos down. Khan the try scorer, Khan the converter. 6 points to nothing at Suncorp in Friday night football. Welcome back. And a tremendous passage of play to get this local derby underway. And Lazarus to cover a fair bit of ground to clean up the kickoff. That is G, able to get it away for Karen Walters again to make an incisive run. Ball came down and off one of the Crushers backwards for Hudson. Penalty goes to the South Queensland side.
I wonder whether they'll kick for goal here. I'd be looking to get some points on the board, but Peasant rushes up, kicks for touch. I'm surprised that they didn't go for 2 points with under 10 minutes to go.
Well, here they go now with Young back into the fray. That's how close they are. Long pass finding Peasant. Now Norton. He had to be tackled, ball and all, because the Crushers had a 3-man overlap. Gilmeister works it on. Gaffey gives it out. Plowman scores. Well called, Sterling.
Never any doubt they had to kick for touch there. Although a little bit of a problem here with the try scorer picking up some sort of leg injury. It was a beautiful pass from Trevor Gilmeister. Ray had pointed out they had an overlap the previous play the ball. Gilmeister realised that it was still on, and he threw the long cut-out flat pass and took advantage of that overlap. Wendell Saylor had 2 players running at him. Gilmeister pass that set things up.
The try scorer in awful trouble. Pardon me, it is Darren Plowman, and this was the try. Pardon me.
It was a great ball from Gilmeister, and then Nigel Gaffey drew his man. Just left too much work for Wendell Saylor to do, and Plowman did a great job to get the ball down just in the corner.
Oh, the old Munster, he's produced a beautiful ball. Gaffey did well, draw and pass situation. Touch judge says that's fine. And he's done the bumblebee in somehow there.
Tell you what, it was a lot closer to the touchline for Darren Plowman than it first appeared. The feet were, whether or not Wendell Saylor had them over the sideline and in contact with the ground, is still inconclusive. Scoreboard tells the story. This is Travis Norton. Rookie of the year last year. His kick will come down short. So 6 points to 4 at Suncorp. The Crushers come back. The 32nd minute. And Young it is that comes charging back. He's lost it.
He's had a very strong first half, Grant Young, but that's a mistake once again. Let's see now if the Broncos make them pay.
6.5 minutes prior to the break. And John Plath is on. As they go across through Kevin Walters. That is Darren Lockyer. So Kevin Walters, who's had a magnificent game, is back on the interchange bench. And a knock-on has been ruled against both sides.
Well, to Grant Young's credit, he really looked to make up for the mistake that put his team under pressure. He was involved in 3 of the 4 tackles, and he was the big crunch over the top that was some sort of mistake from Brad Thorne, who tried to offload in an ordinary situation. That's Philip Lee tackled from the scrum win, 19 out from his own line. Crushers now just looking to get out of their own danger area. Mistake-free football.
The closeness of the scores, Gary Belcher, does it surprise you in any form?
Well, I'm surprised the Broncos haven't converted only one of their opportunities. That's probably been the big difference. The Crushers had that one before they scored the try. They could have really been in front of it if all things had worked out for them. Big moment now for Phil Lee. He's gone into 5'8", marking Kevy Walters. Should be a big game for him. And we've got Travis Norton moving out to Darren Plowman's wing spot.
That was the best kick of the half from the Crushers there. Pezzett, as try scorer Plowman leaves the field. Got it down the other end, but Saylor, so dangerous. Tackle low, and a pretty good tackle there from Mark Prothero.
So the Broncos come back and they go in. And then across, and it's with Andrew G, who's pulled down by Lee, and then Plath. Now Thorne over the halfway line. 16 is Green. Langer finding Lockyer, lurking out wide. Darren Smith overran the flight path. Kevin Walters flings it out the back. And Clinton O'Brien, as it dives upon it, no, it's John Jones.
People might say that the Broncos are treating the Crushers with a bit of contempt. That's just the way they play. Now here's a chance.
This is Norton, the 5'8". He's now playing out on the left wing. They come across for Young. Can picks him up and puts him away. Tony Hearn back and away from the half. Husnell 30 metres out from the Broncos line. Under 4 minutes of the first half to go. 6-4. as the Crushers head down to the 20-metre line on the 5th tackle. Peasant trailing through. This is Lee, and here's a try! Their second, scored by Weston. Craig Weston scores. The Crushers are in front.
Great work there from Troy Peasant on the last tackle. Getting out of dummy half and seeing that the Brisbane defence was in disarray. Picks the ball up now. As we freeze it there, you can see the Brisbane players are still going back. That's the hole that Peasant heads for, and he's got great speed as play continues. The little offload to Philip Lee, and this is a magic ball. Very select in his passing and picks up Craig Weston, so both wingers have scored for the Crushers on either side of the field, but it was set up by the little halfback late in the tackle count.
Oh, how good's this ball from Philip Lee? We don't know much about him. He's only a kid, 18 years of age. But the Broncos' defence was just nowhere to be found.
Talking of Philip Lee, the young man that set up the try for Craig Weston, he was in the Broncos Colts side just last year. They won the competition, and he represented Queensland schoolboys last year as well. So he's one of the juniors that have left the Broncos searching for a first-grade jumper. Now the kick by Norton is flagged away, but we've got 8 points to 6. The South Queensland Crushers as we watch the try from another angle.
He's done some good things in the first half, Peasant. His kicking game hasn't really been on fire, but his running game on that occasion was. I just saw that the Crushers don't really have a recognised goal kicker, do they? Travis Norton's only a Freddie fill-in, and they haven't got a goal as yet.
You people that fancy a bet on the football, Brisbane went into the game 10-1 on with centre bet. The Crushers at 5-1, and they wrote a bet tonight of 20,000 on to win 2,000. I wonder how that person feels right now with the scoreboard at 8-6 in favour of the Crushers. The other betting on the game, it was give or take 18.5 at 5-4 on. 40 metres out from the Broncos line, centre of the ground, Crushers on the attack, and it's been a magnificent first half for them as Peasant weights it down and 15 metres away from the Broncos line. That is a problem for them, Gary, the goal kicking, the Crushers, I mean.
Well, they've got a player on the bench, Clinton Shivkovsky. He played fullback in reserve grade. He's a super boot, about 85 or 90% is his goal kicking record, and he's a good player as well. Now, Bob Linder could use him. He's sitting on the bench at the moment.
Would you like to try that again for me?
Clinton Shivkovsky.
Thank you. You're not exempt either. Now, it's Alan Cann, who's 23 metres out from the Broncos line. Langer has peppered them. He's been menacing. Kevin Walters, one of the great support players in the modern game. To the halfway line, 5 gone. The Broncos looking for a try. Coming up to half-time. The pass was forward from Langer to Renouf, and the touch judge called it. The siren will sound. That is the end of it. The first half, anyway. And haven't we seen some great rugby league? Round 4 of the Optus Cup is up and running, and this crowd is standing and applauding the South Queensland side in particular. The older brother, the short price favourite, is trailing at the moment 8-6 as South of the Harbour plays the North. And welcome back now as you rejoin a crowd that I think is around 33,000 at Suncorp Stadium for north of the, what is it, Paul? North of the river versus south of the river, or what is it?
Like a civil war, this one, Rabs. North versus south. There's been some good stats coming out of this as far as tackles. Mark Prothero, you called him plenty of times, and that's the reason why. 17 tackles. Quite a few good hit-ups there. Brett Horsnell's done plenty of work, and Grant Young has taken it up with gusto tonight. And for the Broncos, Alan Cann's done plenty of work. Brad Thorne has been very constructive. He's run very hard, and Andrew G has been in the thick of things as well.
Well, I trust you're enjoying it. It might seem that it's a domestic game that is aligned only with Brisbane, but I'm sure it's got a lot of appeal to people right across the rugby league country of Australia. One of the glamour sides up against the underdog. And do we love an underdog? Well, at the moment they're in front by 2 points, as Young brings it away to the 30-metre line. Karen Walder's back on. He had an exciting first half hour. Laid on a try with the help of Alan Langer. This is Nigel Gaffey. Crushers have to keep the intensity, keep the momentum going. Can they do that? Willie Kahn back off his own 20-metre line now. Early seconds of the second half. Kahn, who scored the Broncos try. Saylor coming in off the right flank and then through. Some feeble tackling on Saylor. Peacock's got him. It came off Young's head to play on for Hearn.
Well, he made the great run, and then came the mistake, uncharacteristic of Wendell Saylor, as the Crushers try and work it out of their own territory. Now, a beautiful run. Look at the power of the man. And then the good step. Then the Crushers get hold of him, and the ball goes loose, trying to offload there. Oh, no, just came loose.
So the Crushers to the halfway through Tony Hearn, being forced back by Green in the 16. Let's see what Gary Belcher found out at halftime.
Well, unfortunately, that Wendell Saylor error was what was happening in the first half. Wayne Bennett wants them to stop pushing the passes and forcing the play. They've got to improve their kicking game, or get back to their kicking game. They keep trying to run it on fifth tackle, and it's just not the way they should be playing. It's not what happened last week against Illawarra. Their talk has to improve when they're tied in defence, and they've admitted the game is a very quick one. The Crushers are really taking it to them. Bad news from the Crushers dressing room. Darren Plowman has a serious knee injury. He won't be back. Cruciate ligament, should be out for the whole season. Bob Linder just wants them not to panic, stay with the basics, keep hassling him around the marker area, and he believes that they've got a real big chance in this game.
All right, Gary, thank you for that. Michael Hancock is down injured as Kerrod Wilders pushes this on to the left, and they knock on. Capitalised on by Horsnell. Teven looks at the referee, thinking of a penalty. Quick passing for Danny Peacock. 5 metres on their own side of halfway. Teven's pass wide for Gaffey. Gaffey shoulders away from one. They try to put him over the touchline. Back now to the right for Young. Eight 6. The Crushers, 2 tries to 1. And now into a yawning gap they go. The back rower, Prothero taken by Willie Kahn, losing the ball, picked up over there by Michael Hancock.
Well, that's been the problem for both teams, making breaks and then coming up with the mistake. Beautiful backline movement from the Crushers. Now Peter Ryan tries to get his team out of trouble. Unfortunately for South Queensland, Prothero couldn't hold the football in the tackle. Andrew G, strong charge over 30 metres.
So Kerrod Wilders now away for Green. Broncos. Couple of the knock on. So everything that Wayne Bennett asked for is not happening for him. The pressmen, I was about to say, were of the opinion that the Broncos were ordinary in the first half, but maybe we've got to give some more credit to the performance of the Crushers and the pressure that they're applying.
Well, that was shades of 91 from Mark Prothero when he went to Eastern Suburbs in Sydney as a winger.
This is Young.
He's been strong, hasn't he? He's been the Crushers' best forward, that's for sure.
Teven will work it across to the right for Gilmeister. Kieran Walters and Alan Cann put him away. Teven looks back at the blind and goes open. Peasant's pass is behind Lee. And now Renouf. Langer. And a good tackle snuffs him out. Made by Horsnell. Andrew G. The Broncos, while they hold the football, are making inroads. Green. Teven comes up with Hearn. They combine. 30 metres out from the line. And then Langer. And Langer runs into Young. Teven comes over the top. 5 gone for the Broncos.
Well, we see the kick for the wingers. Kevin Walters drives it in. It's a bad kick. Travis Norton plucks it out of the air and then picks up an easy 15 or 20. No,
still going is Norton. Pulled down by Peter Ryan. Well, he just absolutely threaded his way through them. Now Peacock and a penalty. Offside against the Broncos in defence. What else could you do? Now Lee, inside ball. Teven on, Peasant away. Young was with it. Young looks back. And, Steve Renouf has gone down. Tony Hearn. Steve Renouf wobbled away from the action and then collapsed on the ground. Now a long ball out for Peacock. Peacock did well. Gilmeister. They're inside the 20-metre line. Renouf is still down injured. Peasant. Oh, his pass was a mile too hard. And this is Willie Kahn now.
Well, Steve Renouf is leaving the field as the referee signals 6 again. Wendell Saylor will be tackled on the first. Renouf getting assistance from one trainer. Doesn't look as though it'd be as serious as what it first appeared, the way that he went down.
Ryan picked up and dropped on the ground. Now Hancock. And the Crushers are hitting just as hard now. Langer, look at him go to the halfway line. This is becoming desperate stuff from the Broncos now. They've got their foot on the floor. Green. 40 metres away from the Crushers line. Early days, second half. But they are in a football match of quite some proportion.
Oh, there's another mistake made. Cleaned up by the Crushers. Tony Hearn spins out of a tackle of Alan Langer.
And the touch-outs has come on. I think I know what this will be for. When Tony Hearn took that ball up, he's got a bit of a habit of this. He lifted his elbow. I'm just thinking this might be the problem.
Yeah, it looked dangerous. He spun out of the tackle, but there's no doubt he lifted the elbow after Kevin Walters came up with this mistake. Ball was offloaded to Hearn. See, as he comes up, he raises the elbow into Alan Langer.
Gee, I tell you what, I think they're grasping at straws.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad when you look at it again.
No. Anyway, Hearn's come off.
Well, it's not that.
It's not that, obviously. It's to do with this man, Grant Young, the number 10. The crowd, incidentally, a record crowd for a club round. Just waiting. It's probably the late tackle on Langer from Young. 34,263. I can find no other reason for the penalty other than a late shot on Alan Langer. So the Broncos are that close as they prepare for the tap. G. Crushers almost pushing each other out of the road to make the tackle. Green. The line is just there. Kieran Walters, Langer around the back, and they've lost ground, and Hancock is put away. South Queensland are playing inspirational football. Thorne. Kerrod Walters. Over the 20. Will he make it? No, he's been put away by Danny Peacock. Now Johnny Plath. Lofted pass back.
It's the last tackle.
Thorne ridden into the ground, and that is a turnover.
Oh, they've had some chances. All they needed was some support there for Kerrod Walters. A beautiful run made by him, and they've lost the plot on the 5th tackle.
What's the story on Steve Renouf? Gary Belcher.
Well, it looks serious at first, but he's only got a cork just above his knee on the bottom part of his thigh. He's stretching it now. I think he should be back, and they're going to need him. I don't think Wayne Bennett will be too happy after what he said about running it on the 5th tackle.
Yeah, well, after listening to what you had to say, Renouf is there getting some feeling back in the leg, but you'd no sooner told us what Wayne Bennett was talking about, and it was like a blatant refusal to carry out the instructions. I know that's not the case, but that's the way it appeared. Pezzett's kick is a better one. His kicking game left a bit to be desired in the first half. And now one of their young stars, Darren Lockyer, has pulled down.
Yeah, the kicking game wasn't particularly good, but the one thing from the Crushers that made up for that was the chase. And there was evidence of it again. Good tackle down low that time by Gilmeister.
And Renouf is going back. Just waiting to get a player off, and he'll go back on. Kerrod Walters has been near enough to their best. Michael Hancock, speculator infield.
Great cover defence from Mark Prothero. There was only one marker. He appealed that he was held out of the play. The reverse saw them take advantage of that. Watch the lock forward come across there. He's had an excellent game for his team, Prothero, in the uncustomary position of lock forward.
The Crushers will feed the scrum because the ruling is that Hancock had a foot on the line, and the referee has taken that as the first breach. South Queensland try to puncture Brisbane through the centres. Couple of metres into Broncos area now. This is Carmichael. And from Tevan they go to the right. Clinton O'Brien, and then Prothero pulled down 3 metres from the line. Tevan, a chance for the Crushers, away from Carmichael, on to Lee, and again the pass is too hard, and the Broncos come away.
Oh, it was a simple matter of a cutout pass to 2 unmarked players on the outside, and it had to be try time.
Gary, an important change in the Crushers lineup.
Yeah, we saw Kevin Carmichael involved in that movement. He's on. I'm not sure why Troy Pezet is off the field. Perhaps Bob Linder is resting him. I hope he can be the match winner later in the game.
I think at times that Pezet's disjointed the attack out there, Gary. But can't see that Bob Linder had a lot of choice in maybe trying to do something around that area. As Brisbane hit back now, and they really should have scored in that last movement at the other end of the field.
Langer then, drilling it down for Peacock. And Danny Peacock, 28 years of age, is having a fine game at the back for the Crushers. Oh, that'll bring... No, it doesn't. He claimed that the defence wasn't obstructed. Clinton O'Brien again. Tevan out from dummy half, a solo effort. 10 metres from the halfway line. Cross now wide for Lee, and they go in. There's Gaffey, and now Carmichael. And that kick down inside the 20-metre line. Maybe that's why the change has been made.
Yeah, it's a good kick, that one. He found plenty of distance over the head of Michael Hancock, and that's what they'll be looking to do. Play good field position, kick the ball as deep as they can and their chase has been very good all night.
8 points to 6. With every minute that ticks away, the Crushers, their confidence getting higher. They're still in front.
Brisbane will be trying to keep the ball alive at any cost. That's their best style of play. There's another mistake in trying to do so. Pass was going to be thrown back inside to Wendell Saylor. They love throwing the football around, but their execution has been poor tonight.
Well, how do you reckon the bloke that's had 20 big ones on them, how do you think he's feeling? With 25 to go. Mark Prothero, I think he's had a career best game tonight. He's had an absolute blinder.
He has, you're quite right, and the bloke at the back has also been very strong, Danny Peacock. But Prothero has been outstanding for them. Played by Horsnell, Teven to the right, Young, another of those stampeding runs. Now from Teven, behind Hearn, into Carmichael, out for Lee. Lee, who laid on a try late in the first half. Carmichael, then for Gaffey. Gaffey's kick, and cleaned up by Lockyer. 10 metres out from his own line. Plath, Saylor. And you've got to be careful of this man, no matter where. Right in front of his own posts. Alan Cann. Hancock. Ooh, Young had him in the target, or had him in his sights. Langer, Kevin, then Lockyer, now Darren Smith. Darren down to the halfway line. Good run, good combination. Now from Kerrod Walters into Kevin, across for Alfie Langer. Langer, a chip and chase. Peacock, ground to cover, kicked again by Langer, finds touch. So, 8 points to 6, and the tension, it mounts with every second. Welcome back to Suncorp Stadium, and a record crowd. In fact, a crowd rivaling the old State of Origin crowds when this was known as Lang Park. The new grandstand, though, sees the ground record at around about 41,000. This is a club record crowd for Lang Park, 34,263. And I use the word Lang Park to incorporate those years of history. Certainly it is for Suncorp. Good passing, hit and spin. Langer. Langer, did he knock on?
The referee said play on. He didn't think so.
21 metres away from the Crushers line. Is this the time in the game when the Broncos grab the lead again? Darren Smith at 8 points to 6. Now from Saylor. And this is Peter Ryan. Ryan has put away. They're 5 metres out. And Kerrod Walters is the dummy half. He goes around for Darren Smith, and he's met and pulled down by Nigel Gaffey. Away to the left, a long ball. Kevin had to wait for it, and then is put away by Trevor Gilmeister. 10 metres line, 8-6 in favour of the Crushers. Langer goes across. They've got the jump on them. The Broncos come away with it. Hancock, a circling run. He loses it. The Crushers have got it.
It's great defence. It's great to watch from both teams. Brisbane probing away, keeping the ball alive. Darren Smith leaves the field. Tony Hearn drops the shoulder, still offloads, and Craig Teven picks up 15 or 20 end-to-end stuff. Both teams very positive in keeping the ball alive. This was what appeared to be a knock-on from Alan Langer, but it was called play on.
41 metres away from the Broncos line, and Tony Hearn. Now from Young. Teven applies the kick. The bounce will force Darren Lockyer back to his 10-metre line, but he's going in the right direction. Tackled by Gaffey, as Langer has to scurry back to be the only player available for dummy half duty. Now it's Willie Kahn. And then for Kevin Walters. And then across for Kerrod. And further for Darren Lockyer. A stammer and a hesitation as he's wrapped up again by Gaffey. Thoroughly. Oh, Young loaded the gun and went Cruncho. Now it's Norton who's playing on the wing. An arc-like run and then away from a feeble Broncos tackle. 40 metres out from the Broncos line.
Oh, what about Grant Young's defence? He's had another great game tonight, Grant Young. They're all playing well, just on pure guts and determination.
Hostile.
The Crushers should win this. Whether they can hang on is another thing.
Talk about Trevor Gilmeister, whatever team he's in, is that he puts some fear in the opposition, that they're looking for him as Prothero gets hit. The same is going to apply to this Grant Young. He'll have blokes looking left, right and centre to see where he's coming in defence.
Now Lee is tackled. Gilmeister on the interchange bench. 20 metres out. The last tackle. Peasant's kick is very, very deep, but Lockyer had to get underneath it and make a bird of it.
Well, they've got to give that job to Carmichael. There's just no results at the moment for Troy Peasant.
There's a problem, is there, with Saylor? No, he's okay.
It's thirsty.
10 metres on their own side of halfway. The Broncos trailing 8-6. Hancock, of course, coming from Sydney to cover matches here in Queensland. They've always had, aside from New South Wales, primarily against a side from Brisbane. Tonight is a novelty for Peter and I anyway, and it is a thoroughly enjoyable game as the Broncos make the ball do the work. And Willie Kahn picks it up with 6 to go. Tackle count nullified. G finding Renouf. Renouf splicing through. Look out, here he comes. And the Prince is pulled down eventually. So the Broncos with momentum and some wind in the sails, and Kevin Walters is pulled down. 3 metres from the line, they set it up. Chris Johns, Alan Langer, he'll score. Alfie has put it down for a try.
Yeah, tired defence. A shame for the Crushers because they defended so well, but it was the second set of 6 in a row for Brisbane. And some lazy defenders on the other side of the ruck. Play the ball here. Comes to Langer on the open side, and we'll see on the far side, players not moving. As we freeze it there, this player over here and this player haven't come across. There's a big hole in the middle. Play continues. Tony Hearn just a little bit slow to react. And Alan Langer, well, he thrives in those situations.
Well, after the great defence they've shown on it, came down to something as simple as this. In actual fact, one of the Crushers' markers didn't even get up off the ground. He was down on his haunches. He might have been injured. He couldn't make the effort, and that's where the gap came from. 69 career tries in a magnificent career.
Yeah, great player. And it's amazing how often he comes up with something a little bit special just when needed, and that's a sign of a champion. I'm not picking on the young halfback from the Crushers, but again, I go back to the other end of the field where the kick was put up and really just handed possession over to Brisbane. And in tight games like this, pressure games like this, you just cannot come up with something that simple.
So the attempted conversion from right in front. For Willie Kahn. Came into the season as probably the stop-gap kicker. Position vacated by Julian O'Neill, but when we saw him against West and then he carried it on against Illawarra, he's in magnificent kicking form. Kahn converts and the Broncos lead the Crushers by 4. Welcome back. It's Suncorp Stadium, and we're watching a classic duel between the two locals, the Broncos and the Crushers. Gary Belcher, you've played on this famous ground many times, and you've played under Origin conditions. Now you're a sideline commentator. What's the atmosphere like?
Well, I've got to say, Ray, from where I'm sitting, the crowd has got to be almost as noisy, if not just as noisy, as a State of Origin match. The only difference being out there are no blue jerseys, but I'll tell you what, they are split right down the middle, and whether they go for the Crushers or Broncos, they're getting their money's worth. What a game.
Well, I got to say to you, Gary, and I said it earlier very briefly, I suppose, well, we all know Sterlo's worn the blue of New South Wales, and I come from there, but we are enjoying this very much as a couple of outsiders, really.
Well, they won't be happy if it's a draw. The only bloke who's got a blue jersey on's the ref. He's in trouble.
That's it. Now, oh, Sailor has gone straight through and taken his middle stump.
He's out.
He's out.
Well, at least the ball's out. Promising movement here. I don't know, the cutout had to be thrown. It was the winger was coming up to mark Sailor, but oh, Rav's fanning him. I've been retired a long time. I'd love to be out there. This is a great game, and probably what I think is the best ground in the world to play rugby league on.
I wish you were out there.
Yeah. I'd be the worst player in the field, but I'd still love to be out there.
All right, we'll forget off that. Get back to reality. He's not out there.
Sounds like we just put that in the who cares basket, Rabs.
Gilmeister.
Got a good hit.
Good tackle by Chris Johns, that. Is it? Oh, he's out on the full. He's putting some pressure on his team.
Well, unfortunately, Troy Pessett, he had a big game here a couple of weeks ago. He hasn't handled this pressure cooker tonight. Maybe Bobby Lindner should just take him off. He's got to learn by his mistakes, though. He'll be a better player for the game tonight.
Did you see that tackle? Grant Young it was again. You reckon they're looking for Gilmeister? I tell you what, there'll be plenty of players looking for this bloke, Grant Young. Looks like a rhinoceros. There he is. "30 metres away from the line. Kevin Walters sending Brad Thorne. Oh, back in and over the top comes O'Brien. Underneath was Teven. And 5 tackles as Langer resorts to the air. A test for Peacock. Hands, knees and bumps a daisy as Hudson brings it down.
A turnover carried forward by the Broncos, knocked on. Hudson was there. Who does it come off? Let's look at, actually came off Craig Weston's noggin.
Still 12 minutes on the clock. 12 points to 8. The Broncos over South Queensland. It's Craig Weston who there was a lot of attention, a lot of negotiation to get his services. I think it was to Canterbury. He went to Eastern Suburbs. And here's a cutout pass. Oh, on the half volley. Picked up well by Travis Norton from Gaffey. In now for Carmichael, who's back on, but one of his teammates got in the road. This is Lockyer. Plath. Kevin Walters in front of Renoff. There's been some very sloppy moments in the game for the Broncos that won't please their coach. Particularly those errors that have made when there hasn't been any pressure applied to them. Something to make a mistake under pressure, but to cough it up, a voluntary mistake, I guess that is a coach's nightmare. It was, in fact, it was Chris Johns who played it for Langer to drive it ahead. And Kevin Walters was in front of the kicker. We'll put that in the memory bank. We don't need to now because he's played at the ball and he's ruled that it came off the hands. Talking of something voluntary, this was just that. And there's no doubt there was a hand on it. So the Broncos, one can expect, could be celebrating another try on the end of this set. Carmichael is 24.
Look at the 10 yards. Get in there, Jonesy.
Kesett has been in and out of the game. As they work one to the blind side. And now they come back open. Langer, Kevin Walters, a dummy for Renoff, and then Lockyer comes in. But beautifully read by Horsnell it is. In fact, Gilmeister, but here is Kevin Walters. And Kevin Walters scores the third try for the Broncos.
Oh, and some more very sloppy defence up the middle of the ruck. It's been a tragedy they've defended so well, but look, just around the ruck, they've got their backs turned, they're lazy, they don't know how to defend around that area. Their pivot defensive forwards are too wide, and that's where the gaps are for the little blokes like Walters and Langer. That's where the last two tries have come.
Yeah, you don't often see Trevor Gilmeister with his back turned in defence. He was guilty there, obviously, fatigue setting in, a grabbing attempt by Horsnell. And then Kevin Walters able to step out of the fullback's tackle. So the Broncos have wrapped up this match, and they've done it through two late tries, very soft tries, and that it shouldn't have been that way in this kind of match. There's been some magnificent defence.
And we're used to seeing, Pete, the Broncos score the 50, 60, 70-metre tries. They haven't done that tonight because the Crushers have defended so stoutly, but it's been the Crushers' defence in their own 10-metre area that's let them down, and that's where the Broncos have scored their 3 tries from.
It's amazing at the end of games when teams look back on what happened during 80 minutes. I just wonder how the Crushers will look back on an opportunity they had at the other end of the field when they were leading, when a cut-out pass to 2 unmarked players would have extended their lead. And all of a sudden the game turned around and the Broncos scored not long afterwards.
Yeah, that is very true too. And you can add to that, Peter, a couple of passes that I've called as being far too hard to players in close proximity. They were chances for the Crushers. Converted by Willie Kahn, the try of Kevin Walters, and we go to the 72nd minute to watch it again. Gilmeister had just retired from having made an important tackle to snuff out the previous attack.
Yeah, there were still plenty of players there. Kevy ran through 4 or 5 of them then.
Crushers trailing then by 10, having led at the break by 2. And the Broncos are back on the 20-metre line now as Alan Cann carries it away.
John Plath getting out of dummy half. Now the Broncos working their way through Peter Ryan. He spins out of some tackles. That's a tremendous run. Excellent offload to Alan Langer. Beautiful work from the lock forward for the Broncos. Coming home with a wet sail now. They know they've got this game wrapped up, looking to finish in style.
Kevin Walters into another hole, stepping out of a tackle and pulled down 15 out. Tackle 5, will they go through the hands? They've got the Crushers on the back foot. Langer, he goes to the air and across. The outside backs, I don't know about them, but Renoff has snatched it out of mid-air and put it down. The replay will be important, but Renoff scores the try.
Oh, you just can't deny them. What a classy football side they are as they come now to the 22 points to 8 lead. In one set of 6 tackles, they've gone the full length of the field. A typical Alan Langer kick, a typical Steve Renoff leap, and a typical Broncos try.
Yeah, you can't stop concentrating against them. Steve Renoff flying high. There was no pressure on Alan Langer, and that's the thing. You've got to keep going at him. He caught the football. He had a look around, see where the best place to kick was. Saw the chasers were out wide, and he pinpoint accuracy landed it on the try line.
And full credit, of course, to Peter Ryan, who made that magnificent, 40-metre run right at the guts. He beat 4 or 5 of them, and he set it up for them.
I think Brisbane will be thankful that they've had this kind of game. They've scored 90 points in the 2 matches leading up to this. They haven't been impressive in this, but they're going to get away with a comfortable victory. But physically, it's been very tough. And they'll know that these are the kind of games that are going to put them in good stead for the tough matches that they will experience against the sides that are going to be in the top 8.
Just looking at Glenn Lazarus sitting back in the t-shirt. Quite relaxed and fresh. Yeah, you might just run a check on him for me if you don't mind, Gary.
It's happening as we speak, Ray.
Good on you, mate. I knew you'd be onto it. That's why we pay you that 10,000 a match.
Oh, excuse me, the taxman's listening.
He makes good pay.
Now Willie Kahn to try and convert his most difficult tonight, but unsuccessful. 22 points to 8. Broncos over Crushers. Another shot of it, and watching the wide angle, Renouf was onside. So in many ways it's disappointing to see this scoreboard from a South Queensland point of view, that is, because they have not been, what is it now, 14 points. They haven't been 14 points worse than the Broncos.
No, definitely not. The fans can take a lot of good news out of this effort by the Crushers. They put in a shocker against Penrith last Sunday, but tonight they've been just absolutely great.
What's the story on Lazo, Gary?
His problem's his AC, John. I think that's in his shoulder. It's not too bad. He may miss one game, but it's not very serious.
That's an acromioclavicular joint, Ray. And it is in his shoulder.
The OC joint is in the shoulder, Gary.
Thank you.
Okay. Ben Lazarus talking there to Kerrod Walters. Oh, gee, it's a noble head, isn't it? Not Glenn's, the other.
Which one?
Kerrod's. It's a noble structure. This is Lee. Right on the halfway line. Prothero, let's not forget his performance.
Oh, Ray, the Crushers have had some outstanding performers. Grant Young and Mark Prothero, nearly the two best players on the field.
Gaffey. And then Carmichael. He's got nice hands, this boy. Well, they've lost 30 metres trying to promote. In fact, they got demoted. The Optus man of the match is worth $1,000. I wonder who you're thinking as viewers out there. The number 9 was very good. The number 7 and the number 6 have been very, very good. Will it be one of the little men that wins the award? From Optus, as Michael Hancock comes away. First try of the match went to Willie Kahn after 27 minutes. But then the Crushers came back with tries at 31 and 36 to lead at the break 8-6. Sailor now. As the final seconds tick away. Langer at the 62nd, Kevin Walters the 70th, and Steve Renouf at the 75th as they go on another rampage. And there goes Renouf down the flank. That is play on. Lockyer. Oh, razzle dazzle. And there it is.
Well, that's a great Brisbane try. We were talking about the 50 and 60 metre tries they're capable of scoring. That's one out of the top drawer. And I think it's just got Fatty Look
at the start. Got Fatty out of more trouble.
He's doing cartwheels, which isn't a pretty sight. I'll give you the tip. Beautiful inside ball from Alan Langer to Kevin Walters. Then to Renouf. He hit the accelerator. Tackle from Weston was a good one, and the pass back inside went to the feet of Darren Lockyer. He kept it on the toe and then takes it round under the posts. So they've scored plenty of points late. It's an inflated scoreline for what it should have been, but that's what Brisbane can do to you, and this is the reason why.
Yeah, we'll try that one.
Oh,
but I think, Pete, you come down to the final result here, and there's one word which stands out for Brisbane. That's class, isn't it?
Yeah. Has he got to convert this for you to get the money, or what?
I'll tell you what, viewers, if they had a camera on the box tonight, it resembles Mick Dittman punching one right out in a big race. He's been up and down like a fiddler's elbow, Wharton. I don't know how much start he's given, but I think he's comfortable now.
Mick's never let me down.
Oh, I've never death-ridden too many kickers before, but what about really hitting the post?
Khan from right in front.
Siren's gone.
26 to 8. If he misses, there could be a house for sale at Collaroy, but he doesn't. 28 to 8. Brisbane, the Broncos. By gee, they know they've played a game of rugby league. And I'm not pouring cold water on the effort, but I think most would agree they haven't been 20 points better than the Crushers. And what a great boost it will be for the younger of the two Brisbane-based sides. But I'm more convinced now than I was probably after the Western Suburbs game that this side is very much online for their third premiership, particularly with that tragic news about Ricky Stewart. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. It's been exciting, the local derby.